On the battlefield, filled with smoke and flames, a great force shakes the land of Ukraine, not just by brave troops or advanced strategies, but also by explosions that rattle the earth. As the battle heats up, the Caesar Howitzer becomes increasingly important for the Ukrainian forces in facing their opponents. The weapon is known as an unforgiving war machine and has fired more than 40,000 shells into tumultuous years in Ukraine. Throughout the 2 years of combat, the Caesar Howitzer has become an integral part of Ukraine's defense. With the ability to fire highly precise rounds at distances of over 40 kilometers, this weapon poses a very real threat to the enemy attempting to seize Ukrainian territories. However, before we discuss the dramatic story of this weaponry in the Ukraine war, let us first get to know what the Howitzer Caesar war machine really is and why it has become so important in Ukraine's military strategy. Initially, not many people knew about the Howitzer Caesar. Furthermore, like the Howitzer Caesar 8x8, it is an advanced version of the 6x6 chassis Caesar, both manufactured by Nexter Systems, France. As an advanced weapon, it is designed to change the architecture of modern warfare, possesses high mobility, and has long-range firing capabilities with exceptional accuracy. Howitzer Caesar 8x8 can carry 30 rounds of ammunition in one combat mission. The crew does not have to reload frequently, making it ideal for long-term operations. Its fire control system is fully digital. Integrated with GPS and digital maps, this artillery can receive target coordinates from drones, reconnaissance aircraft, and even satellites, including the Starlink network, which is widely used by Ukrainian forces. With a caliber of 155 millimeters, or L52, it can fire up to 42 kilometers, using extended range full-bore RFB ammunition. However, with special shells, its range can exceed 50 kilometers. This war machine can launch 6 shells in 1 minute, and then in battle, it can quickly move to a new position before the enemy artillery can respond. This is called shoot and scoot, and Caesar is an expert at it. Ukraine, a country caught in the whirlwind of war. In early 2022, after the devastating military onslaught from Russia, they needed more than just weapons. They needed strength that could change the course of the war. The presence of the Caesar Howitzer in Ukraine is not just a mere weapon machine, but it has become a symbol of the troops' resilience and fighting spirit. A number of Caesar Howitzer units first arrived in Ukraine in mid-2022. At that time, Ukraine was fiercely defending against a massive Russian attack. The Caesar Howitzers sent by France were immediately deployed to the front lines in the Donbass region. The crew that first operated these war machines were nicknamed the Ghost Team because they appeared silently, fired, and then vanished before the sound of their shots could echo in the hills. They operate almost without rest. Sometimes a single Caesar Howitzer unit can fire up to 150 shells in 48 hours, moving from place to place like from the forest to fields, from village to the riverbank. Every night, they input coordinates, check barrel pressure, clean the system, and prepare for the next mission. One of the most dramatic stories occurred in the Kharkiv region in early 2023. A Russian convoy was rapidly moving towards the city border. In just 8 minutes, this artillery system could launch 24 shells with high speed and precision at the main route of the convoy. As a result, dozens of armored vehicles were destroyed, and the convoy was halted. Ukrainian airstrikes were able to come in to finish the job. In just 15 minutes, a single Caesar Howitzer unit can stop enemy movements. This war machine has become a major threat to the enemy. For the Ukrainian forces, the use of the Caesar Howitzer is not without its challenges. Each shot at a target requires high precision, as well as perfect coordination between ground troops and the officers operating this weapon. It's not just about power, but also about the strategy that drives every move. There is no war without loss. At the end of 2023, a unit of Caesar Howitzer was attacked by a Russian Lancet kamikaze drone. The explosion destroyed part of its system, 3 crew members were seriously injured, and they survived. In fact, after repairs, the artillery returned to the field, with a new plate on its side reading, "We do not retreat." During the massive operation in Zaporizhia, where Ukraine is trying to break through enemy-layered defenses, these advanced weapons struck several logistical points and shut down supply routes. Ukraine used up to 12 Caesar Howitzer units simultaneously, spreading up to 100 kilometers from west to east. This is the largest artillery operation ever recorded. At the beginning of 2024, it was recorded that 30,000 rounds had been fired by this Ukrainian war machine. This milestone was not greeted with celebration, but with a silent salute for fallen comrades. And finally, as many as 40,000 rounds that have been fired were launched in an ambush operation around Avdiivka. The target was an enemy fuel depot, with explosions visible from 10 kilometers away accompanied by a loud bang. Interestingly, the Ukrainian forces conveyed a message on the shells that read, "We are still here." As the sound of the explosion echoed, the soldiers felt an overwhelming sense of pride. However, behind that pride, there was a feeling of concern. Every bullet fired was a reminder that the price of victory is very high. Although the battle continues, the Caesar 8x8 howitzer has proven how advanced technology can change the course of war. The shells fired are not just meant to destroy, but also to rebuild the fighting spirit that never extinguishes. On the steel body of this howitzer, the crew often writes their family names. On the dashboard, there is a photo of a child. They know that every bullet fired could save hundreds of civilians. The world now knows the name Caesar. Not because he is made in France, but because he was baptized by fire in Ukraine, and he has never backed down. The howitzer Caesar may just be one of thousands of weapons. With 40,000 shells fired, it marks an important chapter in the history of 21st century resistance. And when history is rewritten later, one name will echo on the front lines. Howitzer Caesar will be the king without a crown on the battlefield of Ukraine.